What did he think when he saw your impression?
You think he ever does that? Like, here we go.
The ultimate bobblehead, right?
There it is. I should go on the audience. Hey, what's going on?
What did Jay Leno think when you did him?
I'm out of breath. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Give me a second. I have a weight problem.
Check your pulse. You're okay.
All right. There it is.
Did Leno
he was very nice to me. He was very nice to me.
He's one of the nicest people in the whole world, isn't he?
Yeah, second to you.
You are good. You're good. Now,
I know.
How would he say it, though? You're good.
You were good. You're very good. Nice prompting, huh? Very good by you. Huckabee, huh? I like this guy. You're very good. All right. It's the Robin Williams theory of comedy, my friends. If you don't have a joke, you just switch voices. Here we are. Okay, there it is. Okay.
Robin Williams was a guy who got a lot of his stuff from Jonathan Winters, who I loved when I was a kid.
That's who I watched. So watching the Impressionists grow up was, you know, I always thought they were very vaudevillian. It was a little bit older school kind of thing. I watched Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams, and that's where, when they switched from the voices. And Jonathan Winters, if you remember, he was like, I did something just a little weird today, something most people don't do. It involves a kitty cat, a dog, and a box of Tinker Toys. I'm not supposed to be telling you this. They're spotting all those animals. You're not supposed to connect with a toy.
Did your parents go nuts when you were little? Did you do this when you were a kid?
I was a loner little kid. I just watched a lot of TV, yeah. No, my parents, good for them that they never said, Frankie, what are you going to do with that? Never watch too much TV. So I'd have lost half the material. But
son, get serious. You gotta have a career, huh?
Yeah, you know, that's my dad. Perfect.
Is that him?
Yeah. You are a soothsayer.
You're grounded.
John Voight was right. How awesome was that? He's so intense. It's just great.
You know, I got to tell you, one of the things that you do so well, you jump back and forth from entertainment characters to political characters. We have a whole...
I think of them both the same.
Oh, really? They're all... Well, when we come back, we're going to get to a whole bunch of them. And when we get back, we're going to ask Frank's alter egos what they would do to deal with some of the political issues that are dominating the headlines. Can't wait to have him. Don't you go anywhere. Frank Caliendo is right back with us in a minute. Folks in our studio audience get to hear people like Frank Caliendo. Frank, you're going to be doing a gig in Vegas here pretty soon?
Yeah, I just signed a deal to be at the Monte Carlo for, they've been telling me the next 10 years, and I realized I should start reading the contract. Yeah, but...
You've had your own television show. Yeah. You've done Fox Sports. You do, I guess you still...
Yeah, Fox NFL Sunday with the pregame show with Terry Bradshaw and the guys. Every week it's like being on American Idol, and Bradshaw thinks he's Simon Cowell. Because we'll do a sketch. It'll be like Dr. Phil telling players, stop being so stupid. What is your problem? You know? And then after Terry Bradshaw will be like, after the segment, he'll be like, not funny, Frank, not funny. And after the show, he's always like, very funny, Frank, very funny. Like, why can't you say that while I'm on TV? Well, Howie hasn't explained the joke to me at that point. And I wish that were a joke, because that's an actual conversation with him.
One of the people you're famous for happens to be involved in sports, and is, of course, John Madden.
Yeah, and you think of all the things that you do in life and all the things you don't do, and then you put those together, and that's pretty much everything. And I mean,
he retired, he said, this is what he said.
At 73, it's time to start spending time with my family.
At 70.
That's the age you picked?
Yeah. You know, when politicians say that, it always, I just cringe, because when a politician says, I'm resigning so I can spend more time with my family. I want to say, what, did you just wake up one day and say, who are these people living in my house? I got a family.
I want to spend some time with my great-great-great-great-grandchildren and their grandchildren and their grandchildren, and form a league of grandchildren, have a play against Brett Favre's family tree.
You know, Brett Favre comes back again. This guy, every time I think he's out, he pulls me back in.
It's you know, you look at Brett Favre, and they should the Green Bay Packers not going to retire his number 4 jersey. I think they should retire the number 4, not just from the Green Bay Packers or the NFL, but from the entire numerical system. It's like just replace it with the word Favre. So from now on, it's 1, 2, 3, Favre, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's your favorite number, John? I don't know. 5,555. I mean, what's your favorite holiday? The 4th of July.
You know, you have crossed over a lot of different sports. A person who has talked about getting into politics, getting out of the sports arena, is Charles Barkley.
Oh, that
if Charles Barkley announced for governor of Alabama, what would it sound like?
I would say this: don't drink and drive. That's a good way to start. Don't be a knucklehead. Care about your fellow citizens. It's good. It's important to love each other. And that's what this is about. Knuckleheadedlessness.
I love Barkley because it's all based on the word terrible, because he thinks everything's terrible. But he doesn't say terrible. He's like, oh, no, that was terrible. That's a terrible, terrible play. Where'd the vowels go in that word? Trying to play the home game of Wheel of Fortune? I would not like to buy a vowel. Casa de Soda. That was terrible, terrible. How'd you play Scrabble with him? He puts down T-R-B-L. What's that? Terrible. That's a triple word score. You just lost again, fool. I told you, I just go from voice to voice. Sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes he doesn't. You try to figure it out, and then you don't realize where he's going, and then boom. A-I-O-U, and sometimes Y. I love the vowels. And I love the consonants. Asia, Europe.
The George Bush impression got you a lot of places,
Yeah.
including Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
You performed at, I guess it was
Congressional
the
correspondence
White House?
Congressional with Vice President Cheney sitting next to me.
What was that like? Having
Surreal.
him?
Very
Yeah.
surreal.
Did he
because
laugh?
Yes, very much so.
Did he?
Because I did a
He didn't
joke.
shoot you, though,
No,
did
no. It was very. I was worried because I looked over at the president was supposed to be there, and even the vice president was making fun. He's like, the president couldn't be here today. He's in Cancun. You know, and then I was like, well, it's good that the president wasn't here because I thought he would be there, but I realized he didn't know I'd be doing this stuff. Look over to you, Mr. Cheney, be like, I can't stand this guy, Dick. Pull! You know. And Cheney was on the floor, I was like, ah! I fell over. Well, I've been working on the Obama impression, the President Obama impression. I don't have the voice down yet. I'm relying mostly on my physical resemblance to it. It's like, for those of you visually impaired, it's like Cartman from first of all, it's like Cartman from South Park doing it when you say, help it change. All right, so, but it's somewhere in here. Look, here's the deal. He says, look, and here's the deal. And if he says both, he wants you to listen, and it might cost you a couple bucks. But I don't care if you're liberal, Republican, Democrat, or that's.
See, I care. He doesn't have to. That's right.
Here's the deal. It's like, look, here's the deal. I'm going to talk slow at the beginning and fast at the end. There's always a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Bush would get to the end of the sentence, he couldn't think of that last word, and you find yourself kind of rooting for him to get it. It was like, it's like a scene from The Water, like, you can do it! You know, you want him to get there so bad. And with President Obama, it's like sometimes the teleprompter gets behind him, and you just want to go, here's the deal. Oh, could you move that for I just winged it. It worked better. I don't think it did. Whatever.
Did George Bush ever comment on your impression of him? Did you ever?
No. I had Karl Rove come up to me one time. I was doing an event, and Karl Rove, like a similar kind of event where I met you, and Karl Rove came up, and he was. I wanted to meet him. I thought it would be neat to meet him. It's always cool to meet some of you guys. And I went. He came. I was going to go up to him, and he came walking over to the car, and he tells me to roll down the window, and he did this. I'm like, what do you think I'm in, a Model T? And so. So he's like, hi, Frank. And I'm like, he knew who I was. I'm like, what is this, the Patriot Act? And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, hey, Rover, what's going on, man? Red Rover, let Karl Rover come over. So people have been generally pretty nice. So it's very cool.
Has anybody gotten mad at you?
I don't want to say. Boom.
You know, like Leno and Letterman have both been great. Letterman had me. I went on Letterman's show, and David Letterman's show, if you don't know who that is. And
here's a guy explaining things you don't have to. Sometimes that's okay.
Just not too much. Here's the deal. Let's get back on track. Whoa, I've been lost for a while. I know that story. But I went on Letterman. I was like, I went on with my zipper down. He was like, is your zipper down? I was like, here's the top 10 things you shouldn't do on Letterman. Paul, awkward, Dave. Yeah.
Donald Trump.
The most luxurious, amazing, incredible human being in the history of the world. I actually talked to him. I talked to him on the phone. You can't surprise Trump. There's no surprising Trump. He knows exactly what's coming.
Yeah.
Because I surprised him on a radio show, or so I thought. And I started doing this and saying, you're an incredible human being. This is your conscience talking. And even your conscience calls you Mr. Trump. And he goes, that must be Frank. Frank, how you doing? It's like,
let me ask you something. We've talked about the sports figures that are moving over into politics. What if a politician moved to sports? What would Al Gore say if he were the starting center of the New York Knicks?
What would do? Don't shoot that basketball too high. It might bring down acid rain. The environment must be saved. Listen, I understand the environmental argument and all that kind of stuff. I totally get it. But sometimes Al Gore seems like a bad mall Dracula, because he's trying to scare, like, oh! It'd be like, it's like some of the facts are there, and some of the facts you're like, wait, if I think that through, that doesn't quite make sense. And I almost did a Glenn Beck there, like, just looked at the camera. That's Glenn Beck on a rally.
Frank, we got to go.
Oh, we'll get to that bit next time on Huckabee!
Thank you, Frank. What a pleasure. Frank Caliendo. Don't forget, starting October the 12th, Frank is going to be featured at the Monte Carlo in Las Vegas. If you want more details, be sure and go to frankcaliendo.com. Well, coming up...